you. Thank you.
I'm glad it ended because I got to get ready for my next job.
You have a good job.
Around town, looked at her and said, "We'll be good. We promise." And I wish I could have been there for that conversation because, you know, if I had a girlfriend that came up to me and the conversation went something like this, you know, my awful rotten demon children promised they would be nice if you come back, I would have probably walked. And for some reason, Leo didn't. You know, he had that much room in his heart, you know, for two ruthless little children that just gave him a hell of a time right away when we met him. and it worked. I can't express, you know, the gratitude and the love I have for this man. He's turned out to be one of the best role models I've had in my life. And although it's debatable, depending on who you're talking to, I honestly believe having these two role models up here, both, you know, my mom and Leo, that, you know, I'm the better man for it. I really do think so. And I have a few more stories, but I don't want to hold up the mic all night, so I'm going to hand it off here. But just poke me if you want to hear some stories, especially about the Brady Bunch vacation gone to hell. That's how a bunch of teenagers get together from different families.
I guess I'd like to have Bernadette Ternes come up here. Back in 1969, me and Bernadette went to a farm, southwest Strasburg, and my father, Leo, Dad, in 1971, adopted me from Bernadette.
For this adoption, the conversation went like this. Well, I can't wait for the judge to ask, you know, what we thought about having a new dad. And Gary and I talked about what we were going to say to the judge at the time. Well, it was rather disheartening because Dad went into the courtroom, came back out and said, well, it's done. I signed the paper. And the judge never talked to Gary and I. But we were going to tell him that we really love this guy and we wanted him to be our dad. So, yes, 80 years later, here we are. There's also three words that really come to mind when I think about the love that Dad and Julie share. And it's based upon faith, family, and music. And you will see that all over tonight. Family is here, the love is shared, and the music's going to be played, and faith is the basis for all of that. Love you guys.
like to call Leo Ternes Jr. Leo's third one of the bunch here, and Leo got a couple words.
I have just a couple, I guess. I have a lot of stories, obviously, about Dad. As you know, as Gary said, we grew up on the farm. We constantly did a lot of work. And one of my favorite memories about Dad is his work ethic and how he showed me how to work. And one time I was down in the barn doing something, and Dad told me to go down and fix it, a pipe or something that was broke, and I didn't want to do it, so I went down to the barn, played with the cats for about 15-20 minutes, and the dogs, and came back up to the shop and told Dad I can't figure out how to get it done, figuring he'd just say, well, I'll take care of it, first, don't worry about it. So instead, he said, well, go back down and figure it out, and when you're done, come back up and tell me what you did, because he said there's got to be a way to do it. And I was mad, of course, I don't know what age I was, but I went down there and finally looked at the problem and figured out how to fix that pipe, or whatever it was. And I always remember that. I think growing up, I've used that a lot. There's always a way to do it if you just give it a little time and effort. And I think, like Eric said, I think that's made me a better person in life going forward, and always trying to figure out how to do it and passing that on to my kids as well. They don't want to work. And so I don't have as many stories about Julie, but when I think about Julie and Dad, I guess first thing I think about with Julie is music and entertainment. As long as I've known her, she's been playing music at the church, playing music with her dad. Now her and Dad, like Gary said, play music together, music at funerals, so I think it's only fitting tonight that we're all getting together to have a dance and some music to help celebrate the time together. So congratulations on 25 years.
Another thought just kind of jumped in my head, and I wanted to share it with everybody here, just kind of paint an odd little picture for you. Leo's known for his Lawrence Welk impersonation and his champagne music show, which those same little infamous children who everybody around town knew who our mother was, we were actually two little bubble blowers on this champagne music show. So let that one sink into your minds for a while. We had her fooled pretty good for at least a little while.
I'd like to call up Aaron Ternes, son of Leo.
I don't really have anything prepared, I guess. I didn't read the text message, so. I guess the one thing that comes to my mind is that they just work really well together. The relationship, there's never any drama. I do have one story about Dad that maybe something he's taught me, and it's more along the lines of honesty. And I think the family's heard the story 5-10 times. When I was a kid, we went to Nodak, and on the way home, we got about 3 miles out of town. Dad realized that he hadn't paid for the candy bar that I asked for, because I had probably eaten it before we got to the counter. And we turned around, back to Nodak, paid for the candy bar. And I guess I've never forgotten that. Carried that on through life, and tried to anyway. So, congratulations, guys.
Claudette, Curtis, Bosch.
How many kids do we have?
Hello. First, I'd like to thank everyone for coming. It's so great to see all the friends and family get together to celebrate this beautiful couple. And I just wanted to do a cheers. Hold your glass up to Leo and Julie. And thank you so much for the many years of just a wonderful example of beauty and faith and love. Appreciate it.
The youngest of Dad's family, Dan Ternes.
I'm going to stand over here by my adopted brother. When we first met, I would say it took me quite a while to like these guys. Eric kind of filled you in on that. Every other weekend I'd get to go to bump into it with them while they would go dancing. And that was fine, but I wanted to spend some time with my dad. And as time went on, we became good friends. And we're still good friends to this day. And I know Justin is here celebrating with us tonight. Let's give a round of applause for Justin. We miss you, buddy. And I can honestly say I've learned a lot from them, and I've learned a lot from Julie and her ways, and how gracious she is with our father. So thank you for all the caring days that you've spent with our dad. We appreciate you very much. We love you. Congratulations. All right, now I'd like to introduce my family. Have Lisa come up, and the two kids are already up here. Come on up, there's Amy, and there's Emmons. And we are from Strasburg, so this is my beautiful wife, Lisa Feist from Strasburg. And I'll pass the mic to Claudia.
My husband Jamie is here. Come on up. And somewhere here we have two beautiful children, Audrey and Joey. Come on up. We live in St. Michael, Minnesota.
My wife is Lisa, and our daughters Kylie and Brianne. We live in Strasburg. I have with us tonight my wife Rebecca and my youngest son Alex. And we have another son William and a daughter Isabella. They're not with us tonight. They're gone for school events. And we live in Boulder, just one place.
And I'm Bertie, otherwise known as Bernadette. I'd like to invite Kathy up. And Kathy is a longtime family friend and our adopted daughter. And so she can join us. Live in Bismarck, and Kathy is a physician at Stanford.
I'd like to introduce my wife, Felicia Ternes. If you'd come forward. Please, ma'am. I'd like to introduce, you gotta help me here, guys, I'm not good with all this. Introduce Shanna, my oldest daughter. Her husband, Denham, and Sterling, their son. I'd like to introduce Heather. She's not here right now. Her husband, Ryan, and my granddaughter, Annabelle. Jessie, I'd like to introduce third daughter, all the way from Long Island, New York, Jessie Ternes. James Ternes, you around? My oldest son. Desiree, her son, Romello. My adopted daughter, Melanie, and her husband, Ryan. son Jace and daughter Mia. Then I have another son and daughter, Joshua and Eliza Ternes. This is the family that's brought together by Leo and Julie. Thank you very much. I'd just like to say one thing. I know Julie gets the last word here, but I got a hard time speaking. These two people mean a lot to me. They taught me a lot of stuff in life, helped me through life, and I want to thank them for that.
I just want to say that this large group that you see up here, we really are like a great big Brady Bunch family. I mean, it's amazing the people that have been brought together between these two people meeting, and the relationships that we have grown and have come to appreciate over the years. It's really, yes, it's been a privilege, knowing and growing up with all of my extended family here. So, with that, I think we'll let the folks have a final word.
I really didn't know that everybody was that crazy about us. The other thing, I didn't know that there was that many. God, that doesn't take much, and then we got 50 people. The thing I want to say is that the greatest treasure that Julie and I have is our family. Really appreciate what the kids do for us. They all love us, and they're good to us, and it couldn't be any better as far as a second marriage and a blended family. Thank you very much for everything you do. A one and a two and a.
I just want to thank everybody for coming tonight. When we started inviting, we thought, well, we've got a lot of relatives, and so if you're not a relative or a co-worker, raise your hand. See, we really don't have that many friends. They're either relatives or co-workers. Anyway, I want to thank everybody for coming. I am my father's daughter, and my dad loved to host parties and loved to have parties and have people come. And so my dad would love this, and so we want to thank you for coming. We do have a band up here to do music, because as a member of the Musicians Association for over 40 years, we can't do it without a live band. So we hope you'll stick around and dance with us and just have fun. And we hope to get around to the tables and visit with you, so don't go home yet.
We'd like to take one picture, if we could all get a little closer in here. Some up in front here.
If you can't see me, I can't see you. Oh, I didn't get
Okay, thank you very much. Let's stand.
Now we need the one and the two from the professional here.
This is the opening dance, and we want Leo and Julie to be dancing a special number for the honorary couple. But we'll let Leo start us off.
And you didn't get a happy anniversary.
You don't want me singing anyways. You don't want me singing anyways.
I heard you were.
Almost to that. No. I did some karaoke about 20 years ago. And when I was done, I was very politely asked to never do that again. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Leo. Happy birthday to you. Like I said up there,
Are you ready, Leo? Are you ready? You play slow, all looking good. You brought love like that good. You gave life to our children, and to me a reason to go on. You're my bread when I'm hungry. You're my shelter from trouble. You're my anchor in my ocean, but most of all, you're my best friend. When I need hope and inspiration, you're always strong. When I'm hungry, you're my shelter from the cold wind.
see some faces here. Hello. Hello. Hi.
It wasn't easy.
The first time I saw you two together, you did your for ICD&D for the bankers convention, and I used to put together the conventions for those guys. And we did the balloons and the champagne glasses.
That was huge.
And God, I mean, I love how God does that. Now we're neighbors. And he's got to go. What do you think I do up here all day?
Well, I can tell you a little quick story about when I got divorced. I was a misbehavior. I had no relationships. It was so dramatic to me, and I was worried about the kids. The way they all turned out now. It's a miracle.
You know what it is? You may have been a single parent, but you were not a single dad. You had a lot of help. But you were willing to, I mean, I didn't realize you had that many kids.
Woman I married.
Just to be just to be your man.
Hey, smile. Come on, Jeannie.
Help you, beautiful you. You need someone to give you a love that's true.
Actually, we do it with Bob Dolachek. He's no longer with us. We're going to sing a song.
Try it, Audrey.
Okay, you're going to dance. So we want everybody out here to dance to Bob Dolachek's music. So, all right.
1, 2, 1, 2.
Sorry.
Let's play it.
Barely walk.
Come sit over here. Speaker. Move away, move away. Over this way.
We're calling Walks of the Angels.
Get out of the way, Sterling. Come on, James. Right over there. Doing there. Right on the other side of the house. Standing up, see? Over there. Hey, wait, I'm videoing. Hey, you can't walk in front of my camera,
And it was polka and waltz tempo, Christian music to polka and waltz tempo. This one is Because He Lives. God sent His Son, they called Him Jesus. He came to love, heal and forgive. He lived and died to buy my pardon. An empty grave is there to prove my Savior lives. Because He lives,
Good to go. What's the old date? It's been a while since we did this.
Yeah, I hate it. Is it on?
Yeah, it's on.
Can't believe that you like doing this.
So I think the last time we met up was probably at the farm or here.
I don't remember.
A couple summers ago. So I got some questions here.
Mm-hmm.
How you doing today?
Oh, pretty average.
April 7th. You got birthday this month.
Yeah, this week.
You'll be 81.
I was reminded.
The 11th.
Saturday.
What are you gonna do for your birthday?
Don't know yet.
Stay
Maybe
inside?
Nothing. Maybe nothing.
Do you want to explain what's been going on this last month or so? Just kind of give us the broad spectrum of the quarantine, the COVID-19 coronavirus.
Staying inside most of the time. I go out on my car daily just to drive, go someplace. And that's what I do. And I make a lot of phone calls. That I can do without touching anybody. I just called Richard before I came here. It's
What's been going on in the world? Fill us in.
well, there's 11,000 dead ones this morning in the U.S. And that's come up from 10,900 yesterday. It's actually it's crossed the 11,000 mark. But the graph is coming down, which is progress, if you will. Everybody's abiding by the rules, so I don't want to be one that doesn't follow the rules, which is stay away from each other and stay at home and all this stuff. So eventually we're going to get through this. And I get the updates and then I shut it off.
because you go crazy if you watch it all day. Watch something else. In the evenings we watch movies. Watched a good movie last night that you would like.
What? Getting back to the coronavirus, we're not talking about movies today. What do you have any concerns, or what concerns you the most being in your 80s?
I don't have any concerns about, because I'm 80, I'm going to get the coronavirus and die. Tell you a little story about the 90-year-old that got married to a young woman. And they went to the doctor to get a physical. The doctor said, "Aren't you worried that you're 90 years old, marrying a young woman?" He said, "What's to worry? If she dies, she dies."
It's a good one.
So that's just a joke.
Yeah. So you said you drive most every day. Is there certain spots that you like to go to?
I go to my arts every day and just sit in the car and watch people. A lot of people don't abide by the rules. They just go in and out and take their kids along and everything. I'm kind of against that because I think everybody should follow the rules. Most people do. The least thing we can do is follow the rule. It's real easy. Real easy. And it's been proven that it works. Less people dying because we don't get together.
Let me ask you this, because you're pretty educated. You watch the news. Do you feel like this coronavirus is spread through the air or through touching of things that are infected?
It's very contagious by touching. Very contagious. Most contagious disease I've ever seen on TV. Much more contagious than the flu, for example. Just touching can get the other person infected. A lot of people dying from it. They can't get over it.
Have you seen anything like this in your lifetime? Anything you can compare it to?
Can't compare it, but I've seen worse things. In life, there's always ups and downs, and this is one of the downs. My mother talked a lot about dry years. There was 9 or 10 years. And when I was born in '39, it started raining. And she contributed to that to me being born, which isn't true, but I think that was probably worse because for 9 years they had nothing. It was dry, dust blowing, grasshoppers and all that stuff. They didn't know if they'd make it. So I think that was worse. There was no conveniences, no technology, no electricity, no water, all that good stuff that we enjoy. Now we can stay in the house and just be totally content. All we got to worry about is getting food. They couldn't even get that. There was a shortage, there was no food.
How did they make it back then when the worry set in that there's no crops? How are they going to survive?
They knew as much about the future as I do now. They knew nothing. They didn't know if next year it would rain or not. So every year there was something, like, I don't know how many years they grew thistles to feed the 3 cows that they had. Green thistles grew. They grow in dry weather. And there's a story about, my uncle wrote a song about hauling thistles. It's a very interesting, it's a German song, but it's a fact of life that the thistles grew. Thistles will always grow on like summer fallowlands when nothing else grows. And they were green. They fed those to the cows to keep them alive, just to keep them alive. And nothing else grew.
Interesting story. Can you talk a little bit about, you talked about one winter that you had to stay on the farm for an extended period of time and how that compares to this thing we're going through?
Yeah, it kind of does, but again, they didn't know better. There was no electricity and no water. Couldn't get to town. A lot of people drove to town with the horses and sled.
Winter?
Winter to get coal. They needed coal to heat the house. They always survived. They always made it to get the mail. But when a sled went to town, everybody wanted mail, you know. So he'd bring mail to the nearest neighbors, and priest was always first. He got the mail. And it was kind of an interesting thing to do, go to town with the horses and come back late at night and have groceries and coal. And the sleds weren't very big, you know. Get in there, they're about, well, they're about as big as a car trunk or something, but a lot of people drove with sleds, visit each other with sleds at night. They had little heaters, heated with coal that you could put on your feet. Big blankets on the sled for the women. And the men would always stand with their parka, drive the horses. Big gloves and parka. I mean, not parka, sheepskin. They didn't have parkas. Big coats, warm coats, made out of sheep. Sheepskin. They call them sheepskin. That's how they survived. And they played cards and went home again.
How old were you when that one winter set in?
When 66?
Was it 66?
When I had cattle on the farm and couldn't get to it. It took me 3-4 days to get to the cattle. And it stormed for 4 days, I think. Solid, you couldn't see a damn thing. And when it quit storming, I tried everything to get there. I don't want to get into all that. A four-wheel drive pickup and stuff, chainsaw, and didn't make it. So I finally got tired of everything. I tried a horse that didn't move. And then I just walked to the farm on Sunday. It was a beautiful day. Walked all the way to the farm, and it was, I'll never forget it, how beautiful it was. Quiet and sun shining and snow drifts. And walked right on the road. All the way to the farm. It was a very good experience. And in those days I didn't get tired, I just walked. I wish I could still walk like that. It was a good experience. A lot of people don't know I did that, but it's a good story. I got to the farm, there was...
How many miles?
9 miles, I think. I think there was 9 dead ones, dead cattle, that didn't make the blizzard. They suffocated a lot of cattle. 50,000 cattle died that year from suffocation I think in North Dakota. And when a cow can't breathe through the nose, she dies, because that's their only way of, they don't breathe through the mouth. So the nose freezes shut from the frost, and then they die. They don't die from cold. They die from suffocation. It's like joking. A lot of people, a lot of cows in the barns died because they couldn't breathe. There was so much frost, and they couldn't get out. The front was covered with snow. They died in the barns. So a loafing barn was actually, they called them loafing barns, was probably worse than no barn at all. I didn't have a barn, I just had them out in the crowd. And they would, they must have fell over on the snowbank because their feet were sticking up when they died. The feet were sticking out of the snowbank. Some drifted, some of the cows drifted, they started walking. Cattle will do that, they'll try to find shelter. I found some over by the church, some by the house. I didn't have only about 25 head, but lost about 8 of them, which is percentage-wise is almost
third,
30%.
Didn't know all that.
Interesting stuff. And then The blizzard of '66 was something that to be remembered like the coronavirus now is. But in those days my circle was so small, I didn't know anything about, I didn't watch TV stuff, wasn't on TV, but recently it was like 50 years and they went through the 66 again on KFYR, and a lot of people in town were blocked in, didn't have food and stuff. Cars were covered completely with snow in any town, Bismarck or Strasbourg. Strasbourg couldn't find cars, it's just aerials sticking out. And if you dig them out, it's pretty dangerous because the snowplow could hit the car.
What do you miss most about those days?
Oh, just being young and able to do things that I can't do now. And as you get older, there's so many things you'd like to do and you can't. Like I loved woodwork. I can't do it anymore for very long because it's not that I'm lazy, it's just I can't do it. I loved doing it at the time. We had that discussion yesterday with Richard that some things you want to do but you can't. You just can't. And that's the part that really you miss.
Are you comfortable, Dad?
Yeah, I am now.
You okay? All right.
Yeah,
I didn't want to keep you too long. Got a few more questions for you.
Well, they were good questions because otherwise I wouldn't think of it.
Yeah, those are good stories. I didn't realize the thistles could feed cows. And
Oh yeah, yeah. A lot of people survive through thistles. Because thistles are when they come up, no matter how dry it is, they suck the moisture out of the air, I think.
almost like a cactus, huh, or
Yeah,
something?
something like that.
They could grow when it's...
And they're very, they're green, very green, but they have stickers. They're very hard to stack or handle. They roll. You've seen thistles roll. And my uncle wrote a song because they hauled thistles for miles. They had to go and get them someplace with the horses.
Which uncle?
Uncle Anton Ternes.
Do you remember any part of the song?
I do just one sentence maybe.
Okay, give it to us.
8 miles they hauled thistles.
You want to sing it a little bit?
8 Meilen Hexenfahren. En bommer noch zum Hausen kommen, da schmeißt man doch noch See, they tipped the wagon when they got to the house, and he wrote a song about it.
That's cool.
And I think it's a true story because Edwin is the only one left in his family would know that story well. Other than that, I think there's words for it. Somebody's got them, but I don't know who it would be. Somebody in the relationship would have those words.
So, starting last summer, back up about a year, your birthday, you turned 80.
Yeah.
And we had a nice celebration, I believe, in April.
Big celebration.
80th birthday
anniversary
and 25th wedding anniversary.
Mm-hmm.
And then you might say around the 4th of July, you want to fill us in on what hit the fan there, what happened?
I had I don't know what it's called, but I had too much blood in my head. And I just totally was unable to talk and function. And I was rushed to emergency, and they drilled a hole in my head and drained the blood. And what happened, that the brain was swimming in blood and couldn't function. So when they drained that blood, then it came back to normal. And it actually moved the brain to one side. I saw all that on pictures. And I had to lay in, it was a hard week to lay in the hospital bed for a week. Couldn't function.
And we missed you at the pie party, so that was on the 4th.
Pie parties on 4th of July. My mother started that. That's a very, very interesting event. On the 4th of July, we'd always go to her house and have like 25 pies. She made them all. And my son Dan kept that up last year, or the year before, 2 years, I think.
And I couldn't make it. I was in the hospital, but I got pie. I was able to get pie.
So what did they say ever caused that? Do
My
they know?
neurologist said it's like getting old. Everything gets old, including the head. And some people get cancer, and some get this, and some get stroke, and some die. And your body just gets old. It's like the feet don't work, the brain don't work. The best thing you can do is exercise, keep everything moving. That's why they always recommend to older people walking and exercise and all that stuff.
Do you still get out for walks, like when it's beautiful like today?
When there's no coronavirus, I walk at Menards, but I haven't walked since because I
Really?
don't like walking any other place. I'm not used to walking outside.
Right behind you, there's plenty of people going by as
Yeah.
we're talking, and
Yeah.
you see a lot more people on the paths, which I think is great.
Yeah.
People getting out of the house with their dogs, and
They can't do anything else. They have to. When they walk, they are not touching anybody. That's a good thing. A good thing.
so we see older couples holding hands, and
Yeah.
kind of
couples.
nice. Yep, it's awesome. Nice day today, about 60, I believe, coming up.
I don't know.
No clouds.
I didn't even look what it is. I don't think it's 60, but
Lisa said it will be,
it
and
will
I believe
be
it will.
60.
There's no clouds around, really.
It will be 60, but it's probably 60 here.
Yeah. One of the nicer days we've had, and that kind of keeps me going. I don't know how you feel about spring and summer, but what would you say is your favorite season if you had to pick?
When
Is
the
it
farmer
is
was
it
always-
planting or go ahead?
On the farm it was always fall because in the fall things.
Let's wait a second here. Got dogs barking.
In the fall things slow down. In the spring it's rush to get the crop in. It doesn't always work that way. It rains and snows and all kinds of crap. And you're always under pressure. And then in the fall when the harvest is done, that's the relief period. The rest period. Then you can work on the crowds, take your time, and really enjoy the fall.
Just want to make sure it captures your audio.
So anyway, that's how it is on the farm. And in town it's totally different. There is no season. It's always the same. Well, yes, there is season because I hate winter. I really hate winter because I had a lot of stuff going on in the winter always on the farm, and that's still stuck with me. I hated snow. I had to move a lot of snow. I had to feed cattle through the snow, and always cold. I froze my butt off sitting in the tractor. You couldn't quit. You had to feed them.
Snow makes things inconvenient, I would say.
Inconvenient, and later on in life, technology is a wonderful thing. Everything improved. I got a better tractor with a heater on it, and
Go ahead if you need to take a phone call. You can hurry
I'll
and call
just
back.
call back. Hello. Not interested.
It's a recording.
Yeah, it's a recording. Okay.
Almost done here. We haven't talked much about the administration. You know, these are tough times, and I give a lot of credit to the administration and Trump. To be
I
honest.
did too. I think Trump's doing the best job anybody could do because he's taken a lot of negative things from the other side, and I don't know how many people could handle all that. I couldn't. He takes it every day. And he stands there by the podium every day and takes questions, stupid questions. I tell my wife, I say, no, this is not a time to ask a stupid question. This is more serious than that. They ask they try to trip him. And he knows that he's trying to be tripped before the question is finished, and he just fires right back, and I just love that. And then He doesn't even answer that question. He goes on to the next one. And I think that's the way to do it, and he's the man to do it. He doesn't get hurt by dumb questions. He just moves right on. We can't afford those dumb questions, he says. You should work for a different company. Yeah, the left has always said that it's corrupt. The left media is corrupt. I think he's right.
So it is 2020, it's an election year. I believe the election will happen
I think so.
with the
too.
technology we have. What's your thought on that?
I think it'll happen.
What do you think the result will be?
To get a little political, Democrats really don't have anybody that's running. That's good. They don't have anybody. They just don't have anybody. They can't afford to have Bernie Sanders, who would be the best campaigner, but they don't want socialism, so they can't have him. And I believe that Joe Biden was set up to win because they all supported him. All 26 or whatever they had. All at once, they all supported him to make him the front runner because he was the best candidate to win, to beat Trump. But I don't think he'll make it to the finish line. I don't think so. He's an old man. He's sicker than I am. And Trump will win. I hope he wins. But that's my analogy of it. Then we have another 4 years of economy booming, and the economy today is coming up already because the graph is coming down. He said that as soon as the graph gets better, the economy will go up. The Dow Jones today is 23,000, which it was 20,000 or 18,000 when it was at the worst of coronavirus.
So once we're out of the woods with COVID-19, the economy will bounce back?
Absolutely right away. It'll just shoot up.
That's good.
It'll go higher than it was. That's my prediction.
On the same subject, now that we're talking about that, how do you feel about, or do you have any message to small business owners that are real worried during this time to keep the faith kind of thing?
Well, they've got a really good package that Trump put out, and that'll really help them. And I think the package is designed for small businessmen to keep their workers, and they won't have to pay back the money they got if they keep their workers. That's an excellent analogy or a plan to set it up that way, because they're making a loan, but if they let the workers go, they have to pay back the loan. It's a win-win situation. So I think it's a good plan. It's a good plan.
Sounds like you know what you're talking about. Have you ever ran for anything back in your day?
No, I don't think so. I don't think I'd want to run for anything.
Anything local?
Well, the highest office I had was Knights of Columbus. I was the Grand Knight for 2 or 3 years, and that was enough. Somebody died, they'd call me.
Tell us what your responsibilities were doing that. That's very interesting.
The responsibilities were the Knights of Columbus would get together and go to the funeral and dress up, and that was the responsibility. But it was up to the Grand Knight to organize it. And like the 4th of July, we were selling hot dogs and stuff. And it was the Grand Knight's job to call everybody and tell them we're going to do this on the 4th. And I called one guy, I don't want to mention any names, but he said, "Sell hot dogs, we got to make hay." He just chewed my butt out because he was right. We don't have time for hot dogs, we got to make hay.
But it's maybe a day to take a pause and go be a part of your community.
Yeah, but see, haying was such an important event.
Sure.
And
I see both sides.
Yesterday you can't make hay. Today you got to make hay. Because you got to make hay when the sun shines.
Sure.
Tomorrow it might rain. I could see his point 100%. He was a very good friend of mine. And then later on, I think he probably helped sell hot dogs. Because that's the kind of man he was.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. A lot of good friends have died.
That was my next question, actually.
A lot
We
of
talk
good,
a lot about in our
good friends.
together time about obituaries and people that have passed, and you'll let me know, Strasburg or otherwise. What's your feeling on that these days? 81 years old. You miss some of them?
My feeling is that most of my good friends have died. Period. And we're all going to die, but not today. And one of my doctors said that if you're in my chair, he was referring to himself, he said, I get that question over and over and over again. Why me and why now? Everybody says that. You can be 100 years old and they'll say, why now? Well, because time's up. Time's up.
It's great. What I know we talked about this on the phone before the interview, but you say you don't talk a lot about like your final resting place or your.
I don't even know where I want to go.
Okay.
I really don't.
You leaving it up to your wife?
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because it really doesn't matter where you're buried.
Yeah.
To me, it doesn't. You're just in the dirt.
Will you be cremated? Will you be full body?
I think I'll be cremated.
Do you? Okay.
It doesn't matter when you're dead.
Yeah, but it's just something you know what your wishes are is interesting.
Well, you should probably know that we've got it all on paper.
Nice.
My wife and I put everything on paper, where it goes, where the money goes, and all that.
That's great.
Stuff. We went when Justin died, my wife's son. We went to a lawyer and set it all up.
Sure.
It's a perfect plan.
You have it ready.
Everybody should do that, because when you die, then there's no time to do it because everybody's grieving. So you do it ahead of time, and it's a good time to do it.
I guess the reason I ask is because of the Grosna connection, with the cemetery being right next to your farm that you were raised on, and also being from Strasburg. You've spent almost as much time up here. I mean, not quite, but you spent so much time in Bismarck that do you still feel like that is part of you, part of home? I mean, what's your thought
It
on
is, yeah.
back in like you said, it doesn't matter, but in the grand scheme of things, like your brother Albert was buried up here, but then you have your sister Ivy and your mom and dad down in Grosna. Tell me, what's your preference? I'm just curious.
I sometimes feel like I would want to be buried there, but as a whole, it really doesn't matter to me, because when you're dead, you're dead. I don't think you think anymore, you care, or it doesn't matter.
Do you think it matters to your family to come see you, to visit you?
My mother used to talk about that a lot. She said, nobody will visit me if they bury me in Grosna.
And we do.
Well, that's the truth. Nobody does come. Once a year, maybe. What difference does it make? You come to the graves, it's just a bunch of dirt.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Some people are more sentimental.
Oh, yes. Way more than I am. They got to be buried, and you'd be surprised how many people get dug up because they're buried on the wrong place. That's ridiculous. Totally ridiculous. Like Sitting Bull, they buried him in Fort Yates, and then they buried at night, stole his body and took it to wherever, Rapid City or something. That's ridiculous, because he was a big chief. He was a very important man.
Different places wanted to claim him, I suppose.
Like there's a story about my friend Joe Mathern tells me about his friend Jack Schaefer. He was buried in Wishing, and he was a big operator. Very much. If there was land for sale, he bought it. So when he was buried in Wishing, there's a whole plot. I haven't seen it, but everything marble and the farm and the whole 9 yards. What difference does it make? It's all gone. He didn't take any of it along. Just the plot setting there. Nothing. So if you don't have, my uncle said that before he died, his elder sermon was that if you don't have faith, you got nothing. That's about it. And a lot of people, I guess, in today's world don't have that. They lose it.
Yeah, faith is huge. You know what my wife says? If you don't have health, you have nothing. That's a
Now
good
that
one
comes
too.
first.
Health.
Yeah.
Especially in these times here.
You don't have nothing. If you don't have health, you can't do nothing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm learning that as I go. And like you said a while ago, that everybody has a different opinion about things.
Yeah.
Some people are way more sentimental. Like even in my family, there's 10 of us, and there's bing, 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 bing. There's not a one that has the same feeling about, let's say, dying.
Mm-hmm.
Like one would say, you don't care where you...
Yeah,
It
it looks like
doesn't.
we're gonna be postponing the Crossnut trip,
Yeah.
which is fine. Well, if it comes up again that we can do it, great. If we can't, we can't.
The other prediction I would make about the coronavirus is that it's going to go much faster than we thought, because it's already sliding.
Is it?
Yep. The numbers are going to be way less than they predicted. They predicted 200,000 people will die. That ain't going to happen.
I give them credit. I think they jumped on it pretty quick.
Yep. And
they saw what could happen.
What would have happened if they wouldn't have jumped on it is probably 200,000 would have died or more.
Mm-hmm.
So I give them a lot of credit for doing and being on the news every day. Really, a lot of people didn't take it serious until 2 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, until a week ago.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been going on for 3 weeks. So
And the help from China and Italy.
Yeah, that's all good stuff.
See what
Good
they did.
stuff to know. Good stuff to know.
Okay, final question. What's your favorite sausage? Where do you? It's off the cuff.
Yeah.
I know you have Langdon, Wishick, Linton.
Yeah, you know what that is. Langdon is my favorite.
Is it?
Yeah, absolutely. It can't be beat. That's all that's it. You can only get so good, and then it doesn't get any better.
Do you tell us how you like to cook your sausage?
Just plain water, about 15 minutes.
Boil it. Okay. See, that's something that people probably didn't know about you.
Yeah, 15 minutes.
We have lots of sausage. You and I.
Oh yeah, that's there's people in my family that, like Albert, for example, would go to Wishick and Napoleon to get sausage, and his wife still does that. And I wouldn't drive a mile for a Wishick sausage, but I'd drive a mile for Langdon sausage because I think it's better. But that's only me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the next person might like Wishick better. I want to say I know something too, like Leo said to Alex. He said, I know you're very smart, but there's other smart people too.
Right. Good point.
That's a good point. Some people think they're the only smart person.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of smart people that are smarter than I am. I learned that yesterday. Yesterday we went through the pump thing with Karen and Julie and I.
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you, I learned so much about computers.
Did you have to go in, or is it?
No, she
online?
had everything on the TV, on the computer.
Yeah.
I saw her and she saw us, and we talked. And
Nice.
Julie learned all the stuff about the pump.
That's great.
Unbelievable. She knows more about the pump now than I do. So I've changed my attitude about it. I think I can ask her questions about it because I really didn't trust anybody with this pump because it's so crucial if it's wrong.
Right.
It can kill you.
Mm-hmm.
If it's wrong, just like the virus, the vaccine they're building, it can kill you if it's wrong.
Sure.
So that's why they have to test it and test it and test it. And that's how it works with sugar diabetes. It can kill you. There's a guy that long story. I mean, a long time ago that I met a guy that talked a lot about a friend of his that had diabetes and didn't watch it. He fell off of the bar stool dead. He just kept drinking till he died. That absolutely does not work when you have diabetes. It just doesn't work. You can't do it both ways. If you take a beer and inject insulin for it, that's fine. But if you take 50 beers and inject, it doesn't keep up with the 50. Can't be done.
How are your siblings doing through all this? Do you keep in contact with most of them?
I do, yeah. There again is a lot of difference. I won't get into that.
Some are restless.
Yeah. Some are way more worried than others are.
Yeah, that's understandable.
Yeah, it is. I think everybody's kind of scared. Very happy when it's over.
Sure.
Everybody is. Because then we can't even go for coffee.
Yeah.
And that's not a big issue with some people, but for me it is. And then the next person can't go playing basketball. That's a big, everybody's different. Everybody is different.
Let's think about the finish line. What are some of the things you really miss doing that you think that's the first thing I'm gonna do when this dang thing is over?
Oh, just lunch.
Lunch with friends.
With somebody, yeah.
Yep. Get together.
And see, Eric's going in today, by the way, again, for treatment. And the thing that he and his mother...
Is he going solo, Dad?
Yeah.
Is he? Okay.
You can see there's no visitors allowed.
Oh, see.
And I think the thing that meant more to them than probably me was this thing about once a week having lunch. For Eric, I know it was very important. And I don't think I missed once, just for that reason. Because I knew what it meant to him, and I knew, I did miss once, come to think of it. I went to Strasbourg, and they both accommodate me in regards to what I like, and I don't like going to a Chinese restaurant, and they do, because there's so much to choose from. And then they went to a Chinese restaurant when I was in Strasbourg. That's the only time I missed it. But otherwise, we go to Pizza Ranch most of the time. That's the best. I really missed that.
We'll grab some. Just had a thought. Are you doing okay? You want to be done?
I didn't even realize she's home. She's always gone. Hi. How are you doing?
I'm good.
Are you working from home?
Yep.
Like everybody else?
Yep. No, I took vacation yesterday and today.
Did you?
Yeah.
It's good to see you.
Yeah, you too. How are you hanging in there?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Sure nice out, huh?
Yeah. The best day I had was I went to Sterling one day and back.
Oh, nice.
Just to drive.
Yeah.
That was fun.
Yeah, why not?
I learned a lot about trucking. Didn't know there was that many trucks on the road.
Yeah.
If they stop, we're all dead.
Yeah. I'm sure even now there's more. I mean,
yeah,
than ever.
I don't know that.
Yeah.
I think it kind of stays. If they can keep the trucks rolling, we're okay.
You want to tell that story real quick about what you saw the flag guys and?
Oh, there was one little truck that was really, really long. I don't know what he had on there, but I think it went to the oil fields. It was probably longer than your house. It had wheels and wheels and wheels, and the thing that he had on was heavy, you could tell. And he had two flagmen, and those flagmen were like two nurses, and he was the boss.
Yeah.
He was in the middle.
Yeah.
And he went up to fill fuel, and those two flagmen, they were right beside him.
Yeah.
And it was just fun to watch how they watched for him. They were his guardian angels.
Yeah.
And as soon as he was done with everything he had, he was reaching up for radios, I think, and phones, and maybe 8 in the truck. It took about an hour. Then all once they were all three ready to go. One pulled out on the road, another one pulled out behind him. They let the truck in the middle and they took off. One flag in front and one in the back.
Definitely a team, huh?
Oh man, did they work together. That was interesting to me to see. Because if you don't, first of all you gotta have a boss. Then you gotta have the team, like in sports. Everybody has to work for the coach, if you will. And that's in everything. In your business too. You gotta have a boss that the rest have to listen to you.
Yeah. And trust you, I think. I mean, I'm sure that
Absolutely.
guy trusted his guys.
Yeah.
That's a big one.
Like in sports, I think it's very important. If you don't listen to the coach or the head guy.
Yeah.
But there's always a coach on the side that tells the team how to play.
You want more coffee?
Thanks for coming up. No, he's not touching anything.
Too
I'm
hot.
not touching anything that you touch.
I guess there's something going around. I hadn't heard of it.
Oh,
I didn't know anything about it.
Yeah.
That night we went to see Alex play when they canceled the game in Fargo.
Yeah.
The music.
Oh, the music, yeah.
And then Leo and Becky had to come back because they canceled
Fargo basketball.
Fargo basketball, and she was pissed. So we went to Alex's concert that he did in Mandan, and I forgot my train of thought, but it was really good.
Good.
Yeah, it was really good. I forgot what I wanted
You were
to
talking
say.
about not touching anything, but I don't know if it has to do with that.
It was kind of the last night.
That was
of
the last night.
Oh, where you
normalcy.
could really enjoy
Yeah.
yourself? Yeah.
Yeah, we were. Oh, this coronavirus, there was a speaker,
Yeah.
and she started talking about all the arrangements they made for the band and stuff, and then she said, then there was this thing called coronavirus. Have you heard of it?
And everybody laughed, I suppose?
Everybody laughed.
Yeah.
But it was just the start of it.
Yeah.
And since then, it's been like 2 weeks, I think.
I think we're going on the third week.
Yeah, it's been more than
Third, yeah. But the good side is that it's the only thing they have now that really works. Is the distance. It really works.
Yeah, it says the
graph
curve is coming down.
Yep. The death rate is going up.
Yeah.
But the curve is coming down. I don't know how that works exactly. They're testing so many more
Cases, yeah.
people. The more they test, the more death ones they find. And the way they explained it this morning, that the curve is coming down because the ones that are, the death rate is going up because the ones that came in earlier, they came in too late. They already were infected and they died in the hospital. Once you put a ventilator on, the ones that are in the hospital, a lot of them don't take it off anymore. They die first. That's the curve thing. They study all that stuff. And the curve is coming down, the death is going up, real slow though, real slow.
Eventually the death rate will drop pretty quick here.
It's dropping in some places, but New York is the worst. And yesterday it was 10,900, I think. This morning it's 11,500.
Do they say why New York is the worst? Do they say anything about that?
It's all about stuff that you do that you don't follow the rules. That's what they're pinning it on when you listen to the doctors talk.
Yeah.
That lady doctor, she's awesome. She told me a story yesterday that her granddaughter got a fever of 110 and she couldn't go home because they're quarantined. The whole family, there's nobody allowed in or out, she said. And she's got a mother and a father in that house. She's 91, her mother, and she's a doctor. She was taking care of the grandchild, her grandchild.
And that was an awesome story, but she said it was so hard not to go home and
Take care
dictate.
of her. Yeah.
Dictate, but her mother was there,
Yeah.
who was probably smarter than she was.
Yeah. For
At
sure.
least she thought she was smarter.
Yeah. More experience, right?
Yeah, more experience.
I suppose heavy population in New York doesn't help either. It's heavily populated.
That's the other thing.
Are you guys done taping?
No, I got a few more questions I found out.
You do, huh?
That I had put in my phone.
Well, I'll be here till
Okay,
tonight.
Good.
No,
Good
no.
to see you, Leo.
Good to see
I'll
you.
probably let Sam out if he's upset.
Take care.
He's fine.
I gotta check my sugar because
Check sugar.
it's been a long time.
I'm sorry. This is just great.
No, that's okay.
The weather couldn't be
I
any
called
better.
Richard and he said, "Can you wait a little bit? I have to check my sugar," and it was 76.
Hmm.
I said, "Boy, that's low." He said, "Well, I just had breakfast," so he was okay.
Oh, he gets it. Okay.
But my problem is seeing in the light.
Sure.
I'm at good shape, 124.
Oh, there you go. That sounds really good.
And the thing I learned yesterday about this pump is that it does a lot of things that the old one didn't do.
Mm-hmm.
It shuts the insulin off and puts it in when needed.
Nice.
That's amazing technology.
So you're liking it, and you're getting
I
more
love the
familiar
thing.
with it.
I wouldn't.
That's
So
great.
so that the part that when the sugar goes too high
Mm-hmm.
isn't set up yet. But we're doing everything as time goes.
Mm-hmm.
So yesterday what she did is you have to have a prescription and it has to go to the doctor.
Mm-hmm.
The doctor has to send it to the company. And then when it comes back, Julie will put the part in that takes care of the high sugars.
Mm-hmm.
And when that's in, then it's almost foolproof. Because right now I'm going up and down, up and down.
Mm-hmm.
Once that's in, it's almost 100% foolproof. I can eat. If it goes too high, it'll inject insulin.
Wow, that's great.
It's awesome. Right now, the blood sugars at night are like a straight arrow. 125 all the way over.
That's great.
And that's because the pump is, if it gets too high, if it gets too low, it'll shut off.
Mm-hmm.
It does that without me knowing it.
So you're able to sleep through the night?
Yes.
Was that always the case or not?
No, I got up many times to eat.
Yeah.
And now it'll shut the insulin off. The pump before it didn't do that. So I got too much insulin and I went down, I had to eat. That's how it works. It's always balanced.
Sorry to keep you overtime here. I remembered
What's the question?
I put some stories in my phone when we talked about them many months ago. Let's pick out a couple here. Milwaukee, Briggs and Stratton, A.O. Smith lived
Yeah,
on
I
Hampton.
think I got that chart.
Lived on Hampton Avenue. Worked 2 miles south of Hampton, 20-minute drive. What's the water bank hay story, South Dakota? Water bank?
Oh, water. That's where I made hay in South Dakota. That's a long story. I don't want to go into
Sam,
it today.
stop. Oh, okay.
We went to South Dakota to make hay that took all summer. That's probably what you're referring
What does
to.
water bank refer to?
Water Bank is a program through the ASC that we got the hay from.
Oh, okay.
It's a government program.
Okay.
And we got the hay. We paid, I don't know how it worked anymore.
Okay. Couple other things. Priest House. I don't know what that refers to. Must have been where the Priest House was. Driving the new 70 tractor through Pollock. I want to hear this story on camera. You said somebody saw you. You were
Well, I bought a tractor in Mound City, and I drove it home.
South Dakota?
South Dakota. And I drove through Pollock town. And my favorite mechanic in Pollock was Fletcher. Fletcher was his last name.
Oh, okay.
And he was the kind of guy that would just be on the phone with you if you had a problem.
Mhm.
He didn't care how long it took to help you fix the problem. I just loved the guy.
And he came out of a restaurant or something while I was driving through town. There was nobody in town. It was like 6 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
And he stopped in his tracks when he saw that John Deere tractor. He was a John Deere man.
Mm-hmm.
Stopped and looked over and he went, what is that? Meaning that tractor is perfect. He knew instantly when the tractor didn't work right.
Probably won't see Leo for a while. I got a brand new tractor.
Yeah.
You know, like things won't break.
Well, Edwin and I called him often
Mm-hmm.
when we had a problem with the tractor,
Mm-hmm.
and he didn't know us apart.
Yeah.
He said, "Edwin?" I said, "No, this is Leo." "Oh, you sound so much alike."
Oh, what the heck?
I didn't know we sounded alike.
That's great. I was looking for this, and you did it. That's great.
Yeah, I'll never forget that as long as I live. He was an awesome guy. He was, God, when you would talk to him while he was working on a tractor,
Mm-hmm.
and you'd say, "How are you doing?" and this and that, and then he'd say, "What's your problem?" And then you'd explain it, and he would drop everything and just listen. He said, "Well, now when you get home, you do this, and you do that." Then you'd say something, no, that's not right. You do this, and you do that. And that's what happened yesterday. If you make one mistake and push the wrong button, you're screwed. That's how he was.
Follow it in order, huh?
You could not make a mistake when he instructed you to do something. He was a full-fledged John Deere mechanic.
You covered the blizzard of '66 very, very nicely, so I appreciate that. The other one was driving across the river to Fort Yates. You have any stories about that?
Oh, that's crazy. We always went to Fort Yates in the wintertime across the river.
It's hard for me to even believe it.
On the ice, yeah.
In a car.
In a car. Did it every winter. Couldn't wait.
How do you get up the banks and things like that?
Well,
there's a spot?
You had to pick a spot. There's no bank where we go in through the trees. First through the trees, winding road made by humans, you know. A lot of people went across the river in the winter.
Right.
They traded with the Indians. They traded. Oscar lived by the river. Him and Iggy would go across the river, take sausage along and meat stuff. Traded to the Indians for tools. They'd get all that from the government and they couldn't use it. That's the government. So they would trade and go home again.
Makes sense.
They had all kinds of tools for them.
So you can have this tool.
Good big pipe wrenches worth $100 for a piece of meat.
Yeah. Good trade for them. They get to eat.
Well, it's a good trade for either one of them.
That's true.
Because they had the meat. That's what trade's all about. And most of our stuff, like 500 million or billion, comes from China. Trump says China.
China.
Well, China is our worst enemy. But you got to keep the trade deal going because they need us and we need them.
True.
But after this coronavirus, we're going to cut a lot of things off. I didn't know so many medicines come from China. And I think Trump was working on that, but he can't do it all in one day.
Right. Still need them.
Yeah.
So where I'm more curious about this Fort Yates crossing thing, is that you go past Welk Dam or back there, like where? Go back by the river?
It's been a long time. You go all the way west.
Who's we? Like friends or you and your siblings?
Well, me and Joe Frank and Benny Ternes and Magnus Wagner would go on one trip, one car. Edwin Ternes and Albert went in another car. And a lot of people went. One neighbor of mine drowned in the river. Went down. He went a lot.
Oh, what was the name?
Floyd Nagel. He was Donnie Nagel's brother.
Okay.
He's buried in Croston. Him and his uncle would go over drinking in Fort Yates. Went down in one car. His uncle got out and Floyd didn't. In that drowning car. The car went out of the water. Can you imagine how miserable that is? Can you imagine how the uncle felt coming out of ice cold water? You got to be drunk to survive that.
Yeah, there's no way to go.
Oh man, it's so sad. It's just so sad.
Tell me
Anyway,
tell me
we
your
went west
Oh, okay.
to the. I don't remember exactly. We had to go west, all the way west, as far as you can go, and then you'd go south a little bit, and then you'd hit the trees. Then you'd go through the trees, and somebody, I don't know who, had that path all figured out for us before we went. They'd always go across the river in the daytime and figure out where the thin spots are and the thick spots. By walking, you can walk across the river.
Right.
And then they'd pick the thick spots and stake it out with branches.
Sure.
But the problem is the river changes every day.
Sure.
So one night we came there, all my buddies and I were going to go across the river and have a good time. And that's the other bunch, the betters. Got to the river, the river was flooded with water on top. I was driving. Sure, got to the river. Now what do we do? There was like 4 or 5 guys in the car. One guy said, "I'm not crossing that son of a bitch." I said, "That's my answer." Turned around and went home. Played cards.
Sure.
Mom made coffee. She said, "What's wrong?" "Yeah, there was water on the river." She was glad we were home. She made coffee. And
Used your heads.
Oh, God, we were stupid for crossing that river.
Do you think you could find that spot to this day?
Yeah, I could.
Could you? See, that'd be interesting in the fall when all this is done to go take a drive and just.
Yeah, it would be.
For me, and for you, it's probably just second fiddle. But for me, that
Danny,
you guys did that is amazing.
You know, in 30 years, a lot changes.
Yeah, I understand.
There's a guy that moved back there, and he started a potato farm.
Oh, yeah.
You've heard of that? That's all. I bet he took all the trees out.
Sure.
And that's not there.
So is it closer to Hazelton or not?
No, Strasburg.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah, straight west, Strasburg.
West. So past
Straight.
Oscar's there, just keep going straight? Oscar's Farm?
You know
is
the
that-
farm to market road?
Is that the road? I don't.
That's where we drove, you and
Yeah,
I.
yeah.
We went past Iggety's.
Yep.
That's the farm to market. You go as far as you can go. And then you get to a dead end, and then you go north 1 mile. That's how it used to be. I don't know if it's still that
Right.
way.
Oh, that's great.
1 mile north, and then you go west as far as you can go until the road stops and it turns north.
Mm-hmm.
That's where you turn south.
Hmm.
And James Wolf, my one that married Lil,
Brother-in-law?
he lived in those trees one time. He rented Port Umper's farm.
Mm-hmm.
Had a farm in the trees. I said to him, "How do you get to that farm?" And he was so good at explaining. Told me all the road. Then when the road turns north, that's where you go south. So that became a legend, a story. We still say that today.
The road goes north, that's when
Where
you
the
go
road
south.
goes north, that's where you go south.
What the heck? That's great, Dad. So were there narrower places to cross the river? Like, tried to pick the narrowest?
No.
Pretty much the same.
It's, when you got on the river, there was nothing but ice.
Yeah.
All the way. Oh, you mean that way narrower?
Narrow, yeah, the river. Like if we had to cross this canal here, we'd pick the...
Yeah, where I crossed, it was always far. It was like
it?
at least...
Because the ice would be solid, I suppose.
The river was high.
Yeah.
At that time. I'd say a quarter mile or a half a mile across the ice. Far.
So it had to be pretty exhilarating when you got across, like...
I was always glad to get across.
Yeah.
Because we didn't know if we'd make it.
But plus to have a good time. Like, what kind of things did you do?
We danced.
Really?
Yeah. In 48s, we never danced. We always went further.
Do you
Selfridge
remember?
was
Selfridge?
our hometown.
Okay.
I mean, what's the town we always... That was at dances.
Selfridge, yeah, I'm familiar
And
with Selfridge.
Victor Swan
whom you know today,
Mm-hmm.
played in a band, I think they're all dead, by the name of Glenn Anderson.
Mm-hmm.
That was when he started.
Mm-hmm.
He played accordion, Glenn Anderson sang and played guitar.
Hmm.
We loved that band.
Wow.
And then Benny Bosch, he was always included.
Mm-hmm.
He's dead too now. Benny Bosch would inform us, he was the brother-in-law to Victor.
Mm-hmm.
He'd say, yeah, Glenn Anderson's playing in
Selfridge.
Selfridge tomorrow night. We all got to go.
Gotta go.
And my mom one night, she got mad and she said, she was really mad because we were so stupid.
Mm-hmm.
She said, where are you going to go next, New York? I just walked out the door, didn't say a word. I just my own boss.
Mm-hmm.
I know my lips are starting to
Really?
tell me something.
It's kind of warm out here.
No, it's always a lack of food.
There's cookies. I can get you something else. if you
No,
need.
no, you know, I don't want anything. I got stuff in the car.
Grandma Rose made root beer.
Huh?
Grandma Rose made root beer.
Yeah,
You got that on here. That's the last thing I got on here.
She always made root beer. Every summer she made the best root beer in town. And she made orange. It was, what do you call that stuff that sizzles?
Mm-hmm. Carbonated.
Carbonated, yep.
Lisa just brought home some healthy root beer. She said, do you want one of these? I'd love to give you one, but I don't know how to do it.
Yeah, it's okay. You
You want to take one home?
No.
What if I put it in a bag for you?
No. No.
Can't do it?
Breaking the rules.
Are we?
I'm going to go to the car and get a cup of coffee and a treat.
Okay.
I'll be fine. And you can run your car on the driveway if you want.
You still want to chat a little bit?
If you have time.
Yeah, we can.
But you should probably go to work, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks for the stories. I love them.
Okay.
Stay healthy.
You too.